Welcome to North Wilkesboro Speedway, one of the NASCAR originals dating back to 1949. Today, the Craftsman Truck Series takes on the 5/8 oval for the Window World 250. Started the day with a lot of rain. Qualifying was canceled, but it is gorgeous. Sun is shining, 78 degrees. It doesn't get better than this for All-Star Weekend. And we are so happy you are joining us today. I'm Jamie Little, joined, of course, by Michael Waltrip. Today's special guest, the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series champ, Ryan Blaney. And Ryan, we're happy to have you. Yesterday, you guys were on track last night for some practice, qualifying. What can these truckers expect today?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me up in the booth. It's nice to be up here. Great view. I think, feeling the track out yesterday, I think it's just going to continue to get wider. You saw the air temp 78, track temp 120. That's a high track temp, and it's just going to keep climbing as the race goes on. So that's going to force the truckers to move around, right? Can we get to the third lane in 3 and 4? I think we're going to, and I think that's just going to make a wider racetrack is always better for the guys that need to come from the rear, and just passing is always better that way.
Yeah, and there's a couple of guys that are going to need to come from the rear. Lane Riggs is starting in the back anyway, and now Chandler Smith is going to the rear for unapproved adjustments, and that is great for us here on FS1. Watching these trucks knife through the field with all the room there is to race, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, we did get a practice session in earlier. It was about 40 minutes of on-track time. Chandler Smith was the fastest, so now he gets to come from the rear. That'll be fun. Who are we watching in this race beside those two starting in the back?
Yeah, we said two of them, Chandler Smith, Lane Riggs. I think they're going to be really fast. Corey Heim, you can never count him out. Kyle Busch, those two guys starting on the front row. We're going to see what kind of pace they can have at the initial part of this race. But also, someone in the back I'm really looking forward to watching is Luke Baldwin. He's been really good, making his third truck start.
A lot of drivers to watch today. Let's now go trackside to kick things off with opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please rise as you're able. Remove your hats, and veterans render a hand salute as the North Carolina State Highway Patrol Honor Guard presents our nation's colors. Here to offer today's invocation, please welcome from Window World, Meredith Smith.
I believe there's power in the name of Jesus, and there's power when God's people join together in prayer. So please join with me. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. I thank you, Lord, for your goodness and your faithfulness, for your mercy, for your kindness. Lord, I thank you that we can continue to make memories here at this track. Memories that have been made here for generations, and now we have the opportunity for that to continue. Lord, I thank you for all those that have worked so hard to restore and revive this place to its former glory. And Lord, I thank you for the freedom to stand here today and to speak the name of the one who can bring restoration and revival to each one of us, and that is Jesus Christ. God, I thank you for the courageous men and women that defend our freedoms by serving in our military, and for the law enforcement officers, and for all those who so sacrificially serve our communities. Lord, I ask that you bless them and that you keep them, that you strengthen them and defend them and protect them. And Father, I lift up a special prayer for all those that were affected by the tornadoes last night in Missouri and Kentucky. Those that have lost property and precious loved ones, Lord, let us keep them in our thoughts and prayers and do what we can to help them. And Lord, may you comfort them as only you can. And your word says that you are a very present help in times of trouble. So I pray that you help them to recover and heal their hurting hearts. And Lord, lastly, we ask that you surround and protect all the drivers and their crews today, Lord. Although there can only be one victory in this race, Lord, let us be reminded that we can all have victory through faith in your Son, Jesus Christ. And it is in his mighty name that I pray. Amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome worship leader and fourth grade teacher from Gastonia, North Carolina, Megan Richard.
to see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Let's hear from Megan and her performance of our national anthem.
Beautiful rendition of our national anthem. Race number 10 for the Craftsman Truck Series is upon us from North Wilkesboro. We'll hear from our defending series champion, Ty Majeski, next.
Engines are roaring as the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series heads to the historic North Wilkesboro Speedway. North Wilkesboro is more than just a racetrack. It's a place full of history and tradition. The small oval track, located in North Carolina, opened its doors back in 1947. Fans were thrilled when NASCAR announced its return to the beloved track in 2023. It was the first time any series had raced there since 1996. North Wilkesboro stands out from other tracks for many reasons. It features a unique layout with turns that are much smaller and sharper than drivers are used to. The narrow corners makes it difficult for cars to run side by side. This means there's little room for mistakes when passing. Cars will have to try their best to not drop too far behind the leader, since they'll have limited passing opportunities. Another obstacle that the drivers will face is the track's elevation. They'll drive downhill going into turns 1 and 2 and climb back uphill on the backstretch. The elevation change makes braking, accelerating, and keeping the car in line a real challenge. Tire management will also play a key role today. Despite several repaves over the decades, the surface remains quite abrasive, eating away at tires quickly. Pit stops must be well executed to give drivers the best chance to race for the win. We had the chance to catch up with Corey Heim, who shared with us just how special racing at North Wilkesboro is.
The main thing about Wilkesboro is the corners are so different. Last year, I felt like we were able to move the groove up all the way to the outside wall in 1 and 2, and it's sort of a sharper corner. 3 and 4 is pretty symmetrical, and it doesn't quite move around as much. And they've done such a great job in the revival of that place to bring back a lot of the historic feel to it with the way they kind of paint the place and the walls, and it's kind of got an old school feel to it.
The last time the Truck Series took on North Wilkesboro, Heim came out on top. Will the driver of the number 11 truck take the win again today? Or will another driver rise to the occasion? Let's find out.
How about this kid? Ty Majeski just dominated this race.
The 98 is coming to life.
Oh yeah, boys, let's go get a championship, baby.
Ty Majeski is your 2024 Craftsman Truck Series champion.
And Ty Majeski is defending series champ, but it's been a rough season. In fact, he's only had one top 10 in the last 6 races, and you see the difference there on short tracks. He's happy. We're here at North Wilkesboro, as we like to call him, a short track ace. And moments ago, he talked to our Josh Sims.
Well, Jamie, it has been a tough stretch for Ty Majeski right now, but I think this is the perfect medicine coming to a short track here at North Wilkesboro. Had a chance to practice but not qualify. So how are you feeling about that truck? You told me a little bit earlier, you were kind of all over the place with the balance.
Yeah, we were on all sides of it with our SolarSense Ford F-150, but confident we made the right adjustments here between practice and the race. Wish we had a little bit more track position starting 12th today. So, yeah, like you mentioned, a little bit of a rough stretch, but one good thing is the speed has been there. So, no reason to be concerned yet, I don't think. So, happy to be coming to a short track here for a repay. This place puts on really good racing, so excited to see it at work today.
And Ty rolls off 12th. We'll see how he gets it done out there tonight, Jamie.
Well, Ryan, you heard there. The good thing is he feels like he has the speed in this truck.
Yeah, and I never count Ty Majeski out. He's a great race car driver, was an amazing late model racer. It's been great to see him, progress so much in trucks, right? Defending series champion. I look forward to him being really well. We talk about his short tracks and everything, but I think what makes him special at short tracks is his long run speed. He always seems to be able to hold on a little bit longer than everybody else. And I think with the track temp being how it is, him starting mid-pack, I think you get to the lap 20 mark or so, you're really going to start to see him move forward like we've seen in the past.
And the heat, the temperature, I really think that's a big deal for this long run, because last year the tires didn't fall off that much, and we saw good speed throughout practice with the tires, but it's getting hotter and hotter, and that's just going to get worse and worse.
And it is, and and every year you go to a newly paved racetrack, tire fall offs becomes more and more. So you're really going to see, I think, a lot of comers and goers today.
Looking forward to that. Well, it's time now to go trackside once again for the most famous words in racing.
And now, here to say the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome 1995 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion with 28 career Truck Series wins, Mike Skinner, along with the Window World executive team.
North Wilkesboro Speedway. Drivers, start your engines! Let's go!
$250 laps of short track action is coming up next from the oldie but goodie we call North Wilkesboro Speedway. Welcome back to this gorgeous day in the Window World 250. Trucks are rolling, so let's take a look now at our Window World starting grid. Starting up front after qualifying was canceled is three-time winner on this season already, Corey Heim, starting alongside 67-time Truck Series winner Kyle Busch.
And on row 2, starting third, we have Sammy Smith. Doesn't make many truck starts. His second one this year. Ran 5th in this race last year. Starting fourth, Gio Ruggiero. 4 top 10s on the day, making his first ever start here at North Wilkesboro.
Ruggiero, you said that really
Ruggiero, that's right.
Very good job. On row 3, you see Stuart Friesen and Jake Garcia. Jake's off to a hot start this season. Stuart, second at Atlanta earlier this year, but it's been a struggle as of late. See if he can rebound.
Let's take a look at the rest of the field here. You see Caden Honeycutt in the 45. He's already been racing a couple of nights around here. Cars Tour last night.
Yeah, he's going to be fast. He was P2 on 10-lap average yesterday. I think he's going to be good. Grant Enfinger's another one. Brent Cruz making his Truck Series debut. And we already talked about Ty Majeski outside of row 6.
Chandler Smith going to the rear for some brake issues they tended to. Connor Jones making a start in that Al Neese number 44 truck. A lot of good trucks back here, Ryan, that could be charging to the front.
Indeed, and then we have Lane Riggs starting on the inside of row 14. We'll look to make up a little bit for last week after that DQ after the race. Kind of got him deep in the field, but I think he's going to be really well. And Luke Baldwin making his 3rd Truck Series start. He showed great promise at Martinsville, another short track. Had a little bit of a rough weekend at Kansas. Honestly, have had a scrappy weekend here in the late models this weekend at North Wilkesboro, but I think he's going to be really good today.
Patrick Emmerlin, New Yorker, modified racer. He's starting in that Henderson Motorsports number 75.
Well, we have 2 pit reporters covering all the action for you today. Caitlin Vinci and Josh Sims. Good afternoon, Josh.
Well, Jamie, Chandler Smith and this 38 team could really use a bounce-back race after 3 straight finishes in the teens, where you come to a track where you have had success in the past, and Chandler has won on 3 short tracks in the Truck Series in his career. So the good news about earlier today in practice, they were the fastest truck. The bad news, you reported an issue with those brakes, said they felt spongy, not firm like you want them to be, especially at a track where you use the brakes as much as you do. So they addressed the issue after practice. As a result, they'll have to drop to the back at the start of the race, but look for the 38 to try and put on a show out here today. Caitlin?
Well, Josh, one driver who showed a lot of promise in practice was Lane Riggs. Now, as you guys talked about, he is starting a little deeper in the field, starting 27th. But I had a chance to talk with Lane earlier today, and he told me he's very proud of the speed they've been bringing in those race trucks every single weekend. He said the Achilles heel for this team right now, though, has been pit road. But he told me they've made some changes to the pit crew. He said, I'm very confident you're going to see them step up. So we know Lane Riggs is a good short track racer. Keep an eye on him as he tries to make his way quickly to the front of the field. Jamie?
Thank you, Caitlin. You guys have a good day down there. Michael, how about our Craftsman track description?
We can see just over a half mile, 5/8 of a mile track. The corners are banked at 13 degrees. Track's pretty much symmetrical unless you take into consideration how far you drive downhill into turn 1. This track is really crazy with the elevation change from one end to the other.
Yeah, it is. And as you saw, you know, people go through pit road, a lot of different timing lines on pit road, so that's something to watch. But we'll go over the race analysis. 250 laps today, 156 miles. Stage 1 and 2, both 70 laps. The final stage will be 110. Pit road speed, 30 miles an hour. Fuel window, 120 to 130. So it'll be interesting to see if there's a caution in that final stage, what teams are going to do.
4 sets of tires for this race as well. We have 2 onboards for today, bringing you the action from this seat. The number 9, Grant Enfinger.
He's going to roll from the 8th position in the top 10, second here a year ago. And then we're going to have some fun when we hop on board Lane Riggs' truck. We've already talked about he's starting in the back and how much room there is to pass. We're going to see that right off the bat with him trying to cut his way up through the field. One of the fastest trucks, as we said earlier today.
Let's listen to Grant Enfinger's radio quick.
Everybody on this team, thank you all for digging. I feel like we got something to work with. We'll just be smart, be aggressive, play on offense the whole time, and we got a shot at this, so let's just take advantage of it.
Grant gets underrated a lot. I think Grant's one of the most solid truckers that we have. Always seems to string together good runs, and really no matter where it's at, like whether it's a mile and a half, super speedway, short track, he's always in the mix at some point. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do today. And I think it's interesting we're always going to talk about the choose. Corey Heim has chosen to start on the top. We always talk about this big bump off of turn 4 on the very bottom lane. It can kind of get you in trouble. That restart zone is right around it. The bump's right in the middle of that restart zone. So that's something interesting to watch for today as they launch and where everyone decides to choose as we get these restarts going.
But wow, what a beautiful day, huh? We're here at North Wilkesboro. The fans have turned out. There's so much energy around All-Star Weekend, and we're going to kick it off right here with some great truck racing action.
Look at that. So many fans on their feet, ready to go. It has been a couple of days of racing here already. Now it's the Craftsman Truck Series. We'll have the Cup cars on track for the heat races after us. So much going on, so much excitement. Pace car is off. Corey Heim, Kyle Busch on the inside. Green flag is in the air. We are racing at North Wilkesboro. Off to a great start for Corey Heim there. Gets ahead of Kyle Busch. But Gio Ruggiero there tucking in third.
Yeah, you can see these tires are a little bit squirmy taking off. You saw Gio kind of get loose on the top there of 3 and 4 or 1 and 2, and Kyle Busch was able to slide into second. So it's going to take these trucks a couple laps to kind of get the air pressure built up and figure out where everyone wants to be.
Yeah, and Kyle Busch didn't have a very good practice this morning. His truck just wasn't that fast. So be interesting to see what kind of adjustments he was able to make some progress. Looks like he's a little wide off turn 4. This is a mess back in the pack. See Tony Breidinger there is mixing it up with a couple other trucks. She had a bit of a rough start to this race.
Still outside.
Lane Riggs pushing up through there. Let's see what happened to Tony. Oh, sideways. Right there, the 44. Connor Jones got a hold of her. Doesn't take much, does it, Ryan?
It really doesn't, especially on low air pressure. The tires are moving around. You're really wanting to build it up, and the 34, that's another thing he has to be careful of, right? He just has to piece his way through the pack. As we see a lot of great battles, Gio really putting a lot of pressure on Kyle Busch.
I've been really impressed with Gio. He came to this series, not a lot of experience, but he's proven right away that he can run in the top 5 week in and week out.
Yes, Kyle Busch loose off of turn 2. The banking kind of falls away from you off of turn 2. Kyle's just going to let him go here, try to see what his truck has. But I'm excited to see what this 17 truck can do as they continue to, get laps on their stuff, figure out where you need to be. You don't want to burn your tires off. We noticed that yesterday in our cars. You could actually wear the good off of them, and then you're in trouble. So it's a little bit of a pace of yourself today.
Gio Ruggiero, one of the many rookies in the field right there in the 17 truck. Here for the first time in a truck, doing great work. But it's interesting when you look at the field, the youngsters always seem to prevail on these short tracks because that's what they know. That's what they came up doing.
They sure do. And you talk about a youngster, Brent Cruz, first career truck race, working to the inside of the 9. Hits the bump, gets a little bit loose, but did a great job of, correcting his truck and making sure he didn't slide into him. So he's put together a great career already in his young life. I think, what is he, 17?
Yes, he is.
And getting to race at North Wilkesboro, I think that's just a really great gift.
Well, just so much energy and excitement around this young man because of his talent, raw talent that he's shown in anything he's driven. And now he's getting a chance here in the Truck Series in a really solid race truck.
Battle for 6th here. Jake Garcia in the 13. Michael, we talk about him every week. They've had such good speed. Today's practice, not what we typically see from him, but obviously with how it shook out with qualifying, great qualifying effort as he battles here with Sammy Smith.
Yeah, I think he likes what he's got here early. Anytime there's a gap ahead of you in the truck, you know you're going to get heated up, and you might even get run into because these guys know these races are quick and you got to move in a hurry.
Sammy Smith runs full time in the Xfinity Series. Brian Patty, the wily veteran, his crew chief.
And you talked about Luke Baldwin and the great job that he did at Martinsville. He was so fast and he raced so respectably. He wasn't running over people, just racing hard. And early in this race, look there, Ryan, you were right. He's our biggest mover.
Yeah, he's moving up. He had a great practice session. That truck is really good. ThorSport always brings some really competitive trucks and love. I mean, gosh, what do they have, 4 or 5 trucks right now in the field? So they do a great job putting some awesome F-150s out there as he's, trying to put the pressure to 3-time series champion Matt Crafton.
And you know how Matt is. He better be respectful when he gets to Matt.
That's right. I learned that very early in my career.
We'll hear from him on the radio, won't we?
Let's get an update on Luke Baldwin. Caitlin.
Yeah, well, I had a chance to talk to Luke earlier, and he said, I really want to bounce back from a tough Kansas race. He said he's just been taking one mistake at a time and trying to learn as much as possible. He also said he had a different vantage point this weekend, spotting in cup practice for Cody Ware, just trying to be as prepared as possible. But he also talked to me about the family lineage at North Wilkesboro. His grandfather used to race here in the modifieds. His dad, Tommy Baldwin, of course, is on hand here this weekend. And he said he's just loved growing closer to his father through this whole racing experience and sharing it with him week in and week out. And he is definitely making up ground right now. P16 currently. Jamie?
And Ryan, I remember when he drove for his dad, Tommy Baldwin.
Yeah, the Baldwins, mean a lot to me. Tommy gave me a chance back in 2012 and in the Xfinity Series, and it was so much fun driving for that team. My dad was running the Cup cars for him at the time, so it's been, gosh, I feel old now. I remember when Luke was up to my knees, and now he's taller than I am. I stood on pit row with him in Martinsville, and I'm looking up at a skyscraper. But you see Corey Heim here on screen, just doing Corey Heim things, just stretching it out, being really, really smooth. Honestly, I don't see his truck moving around a lot. He's just being patient, and he's starting to catch the back of the field.
And Corey Heim has now led in all 10 races of the season, a 2-second lead right now at North Wilkesboro. Welcome back to the Window World 250 for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Corey Heim now has extended his lead to over 3.5 seconds. But meanwhile, our eyes have been on Lane Riggs, guys. During break, we noted he's up to 15th and still digging.
Yeah, I think a successful stage one for Lane is going to be getting to the top 10. Okay, so you've already made up 12 positions. You're really pressuring Raja right now. There's a couple spots right in front of you. It's going to get a little harder as you go. As the tires wear out, that bottom lane is going to be a little bit tougher to complete the pass. You see him trying, just can't put the power down. He might be able to clear Raja here in the next lap, but I think if Lane can get to the top 10, he's going to be in a really good spot setting up the rest of the race.
What
A
about
little
that?
bit different paint scheme, right, Michael?
What about that? It's really cool. He's a college graduate, UNC Charlotte. You can see Charlotte on the side of that truck. He's representing his alma mater.
That's right. I visited college a couple times.
I did too. My friends all went. I went with them. I didn't enroll or anything.
He's smart and fast.
Didn't enroll or they wouldn't accept you, Mikey?
Yes, I would say both are true. But I'm going to tell you something else we have to watch is Chandler Smith. We know how good he was in practice, and there's that 38 truck. He's just one truck behind Lane Riggs, so he's making up some great time too. That 38, 34, and 11, every week, that just seems to be the story. And we're going to throw Caden Honeycutt into the mix here because he's got a really fast truck early as well.
Caden Honeycutt up to 12th. So Corey Heim leads Gio Ruggiero right there in the 17. You know, Kyle Busch started on the front row. He slid back to 5th. What are they saying in the 17 camp? Josh?
Well, you know, Jamie, for so many of these tracks we go to, it's the first time for a lot of the rookies. Not the case for Gio Ruggiero. First time here in a truck, but he's had some pro late model, some late model races here. So he came here today with a good baseline of this track. And the good thing about the progression of him through this season is crew chief Jeremy Donnelly says he's gotten to the point where the racing is now second nature. Now they can get more into the weeds when it comes to the racecraft. And we're seeing him catch his stride. 3 top 10s in the last 4 races. Came over the radio a few minutes ago and just said he fired off free but feels good about that truck as he's riding in second place right now, Jamie.
Yeah, riding in second, and you see Stuart Friesen in third. He's starting to close the gap a little bit. You know, I like his line. He's running a little bit higher entry than Gio into turn 1 and 2, getting a little bit better run off the top. And he's starting to work the middle lane of 3 and 4, which I really like, trying to get out of the wake. Well, there he went back to the bottom and maybe eat my words. But, you know, I think Stewart's going to be someone that you really have to pay attention to as this race goes on. A smart race car driver, been doing it for a long time, understanding the track changing. The track's going to continue to change during this race, and those best guys are going to be able to figure out what they need to do to continue changing with the racetrack.
You know, we talked about Stewart having a bit of a bump in the road. He corrected things last week at Kansas with a top 5 finish. So he's got the speed, but he had some rough goes at it in a few weeks before that. So this isn't surprising at all to see that 52 truck, that truck up front. He says that they have better equipment than they ever had. He just has to figure out how to take advantage of it.
And you know what I love about that Hallmark Friesen Racing, Michael? They do everything themselves. They don't purchase anything from anyone. They build all those trucks in-house. That, by the way, is just 25 minutes away. So it's a home deal for them to have a good showing here, be a good shot in the arm, and a good follow-up from Kansas. So Corey Heim continues to lead by almost 5 seconds now. Incredible effort.
Yeah, you
Only driver to lead laps in every race this season,
yes.
Ryan.
Sorry, Jamie. I just look at the lap times of Corey Heim, and even though he's in traffic, he's still a tenth and a half faster than everybody else right now. So that truck is just amazing. Corey does a great job in it week in and week out. You know, we were just talking during the break, the great job that he did in the Cup race at Kansas last week. You know, really had a great run. I think he finished 13th in it and just was really respectful all day. Found out how to get his car better through the day. And there's, you know, these trucks and Cup cars are so different nowadays. You know, there used to be a little bit more similarities to them before this generation of Cup car, but jumping in and out, you know, and running double duty on that weekend, he just really learned and did a great job. And right now he's just in a hornet's nest, you know, trying to pick his way through. But luckily, you know, he's got a over 5-second lead that he can kind of just be careful here. But at the same time, we're 30 laps until the stage break. He wants to put as much trucks a lap down as he can, right? To just eliminate guys, trying to get the gap to second place, so where it makes the pit stop a little bit less stressful.
This is just what we've seen all season long, and we've talked about it endlessly, that this is a Cup guy winning on Sunday. You know, Blaney, when you showed up and did the special things you did in Xfinity Series and got to Cup, we knew you were going to be a Cup winner. Now, you're not only that, you're a Cup champion. You got to see a lot of the same things in Corey Heim.
Well, I love looking at, you know, racers, and I can say this now, I love looking at young racers now that I'm older and, you know, really see their talents. Enfinger, Majeski, Tyler Ankrum right here battling all for 8th, 9th, 10th right now. Lane Riggs is just outside of your screen. There he is right there, continuing to work his way through the field. But you can see all the different lanes that these guys are running. You know, gosh, there's 5-6 truck right here trying to get in line. And you kind of see this right now. You get this little stack, right? Enfinger's 2.5 seconds back of Brent Cruz. and then you got Majeski, Ankrum, Riggs, Rhodes right there, you know, kind of on his tailgate, and everyone's just trying to search for grip. You know, 45 laps on these tires. Everyone's trying to figure out where to go, what the lanes are doing, and that's when you get great battles like this, is when the track gets a little wider.
What a battle between Grant Enfinger, Ty Majeski. That's for 8th. They were slicing and dicing their way around Frankie Muniz, the slower truck on the inside. Ooh, little contact.
The old chrome horn there.
He was just helping him out a little bit.
Yeah, tried to help him speed up off the corner.
The 9 looked a little tight, so he was trying to help him turn.
I think it worked. There you see Majeski still hounding Grant Enfinger.
And Enfinger's trying to move up, right? He's really starting to try to work that 2.5 lane in 3 and 4 and getting right to the edge of the grip, you know, and he's trying to just clean that 3rd lane off and searching for grip. He's struggling a little bit right now, so he's really trying to figure out, you know, how can I maximize my truck? As we have a truck stalled off the exit of turn 2.
Caution flag.
Caution is out here for the first time. We have a truck stalled on the inside. There it is right there. That's that black Rhino sponsor, Tyler Tomasi.
You think that's Italian, Tomasi?
I would think so.
Yeah.
From Connecticut.
Right on.
Yeah.
So 23 laps to go here in stage number 1. Reminder, stage 1 is 70 laps, stage 2, 70 laps, and 110 laps in our 3rd and final stage, as our AMR safety team is on the scene.
Now we're going to get the split.
Push you, they're behind you now.
We're going to figure out the split here, right? We're going to come to 22 laps to go to this stage. You're going to see guys, I think the field is going to split right in half, whether you want to go for stage points, if you're going to come in and get your tires. This is the tough decisions for crew chiefs. Figuring out, okay, they're going to try to figure out where we're at in the pack, what's your truck doing? Do we, you know, try to jump a bunch of spots here at the stage break, or are we going to go for stage points? So this is going to get a lot of strategy here, but this is why these crew chiefs get paid the big bucks of figuring out what's the best call to make.
It's going to be interesting because we know one thing for sure: Corey Heim doesn't need any stage points. He's pretty happy with all that he has, so he could pit. But man, Ryan, it was so hard to call this at Kansas. We thought people would do the opposite of Corey Heim. They just followed him right on down pit road. So we'll see how it goes here. Pits are still closed.
So let's take a look at the pit window sponsored by Window World. See it there, between 100 and 130 laps. That, of course, is on a full tank of fuel. But now we have the option here with 22 laps to go, as you gentlemen just set up. I see a lot of pit crews ready to go.
Yeah, and
who stays, who goes?
Looking at lap times here through the course of the run, you know, compared to their fast lap, and you know, everyone's a little bit different and traffic kind of flows, but you know, it only fell off maybe at most half a second. So that's, you have to factor that in as well. Okay, how much do the tires fall off? Do they not fall off enough to where, you know, we just want to keep track position? But this is here comes decision time as pit road's open.
So it's open, and Ryan, one of the things Ryan said, don't speed. They are out to get you, and it's very easy to do it here. 30 miles per hour down pit road.
Corey Heim decided he didn't need stage points because of the wins that he has and the speed that he has, so he's going to flip this stage. Ruggiero stayed out, as did Stuart Friesen, so we're going to have a new leader.
The lone sailor out there, Corey, making that long drive down. Caitlin, he's coming your way for some fresh tires.
Yes, he is. Like you said, Michael, electing to pit because they have those wins and points, obviously, in the buffer there. But he said it's a little free, but please don't over-tighten it considering where this track may go. So you can see, obviously, the 4 tires there. Former winner at this racetrack, but he's choosing to come down a little early here with 20 to go on stage, guys.
Great work from that camera. I believe that's our jib. Great shot. You could see they didn't make any chassis adjustments, so obviously helped him out with a little air pressure.
Yeah, and I'm counting 6 trucks stayed out here. So Corey is going to restart 7th, you know, so he can still, gosh, he could still win this stage, to be honest with you. So it'll be curious to see how those scuffed tires work out for the guys who stayed out.
All right, pit stops complete. We'll line them up and drop the green flag once again from North Wilkesboro. This Memorial Day weekend, it's the biggest day in motorsports as the greatest spectacle in racing. The 109th Indy 500 comes to Fox with Joseph Newgarden going for an historic three-peat. Don't miss it. That's Sunday, May 25th, only on Fox. It's been exciting up there, guys. I was there for practice this week. Qualifying is happening today and tomorrow. Had some big wrecks already. The wind is playing a factor in all things, but we've got Carb Day on Friday I'll be up for, and then in the pits on Sunday, Ryan.
Well, seeing that promo gets me psyched up. I love watching the Indy 500. The biggest challenge I have with that race is, do I wear my Joseph Newgarden, Scott McLaughlin, or Will Power shirt? I don't know. It's always a toss-up. I need one with all three of them on it. But, you know, like you said, Joseph going, oh, sorry, we have to choose. Corey Heim is actually going to choose the bottom, so that's interesting. And so I'm be curious to see, you know, how does these new tires fire off? The crew chiefs definitely put, you know, long run pressures in them, right? You're not going to pump them up for this, so because they have to go the next stage, because that group of trucks that pitted just there, they're probably, I mean, 99% sure they're going to stay out on the next stage. So I'd be interested to see. And this is kind of a player for the end of the race. If they get a caution with 20 to go or so, crew chiefs are going to be looking at this. Okay, how does the older tires fire off and what the new tires can do? Speeding penalties.
Speeding, please, got him, Ryan. You warned
Jason
him.
Alexander, Tanner Gray, Ty Majeski, you know, was working his way up and he got popped. I got popped yesterday, so don't feel too bad. But that'll happen. This pit road, there's like 6 different sections of lights that you have to run. So you can get in trouble pretty quick trying to maximize all your stuff.
All right, so 5 truckers stayed out there. Corey Heim restarting 6th. Here we go as the drivers approach the Echo Park Automotive Restart Zone. Gio Ruggiero, Stuart Friesen.
A pretty good start by Friesen right there on the bottom on used stuff. So he's
nose to nose, sliding
loose.
Sideways.
Is that what you call sent it? And look at that 3 wide.
Chandler Smith caught a little bit of the apron, just nowhere to go. Corey Heim takes him 3 wide. Got to be careful on the bottom. These trucks rely on a lot of side force, so if you get tight.
Squeeze
still
play.
3 wide down the front stretch.
Daniel Hemrick stayed in the gas. He's going to clear both those guys.
Chandler Smith still 3 wide, pushing the issue. Here comes Corey Heim. Did you say you think Corey Heim could perhaps win this stage?
I think he's got a really good shot here. He's already 5th. We know how fast that truck is. He's just going to be working the bottom, and I think the guys on used tires, they're going to be washing up the racetrack, so that's going to give Corey a little bit of cleaner air as he's trying to get back to the front to win this stage.
Gio Ruggiero out front, ahead of Stuart Friesen, Jake Garcia, Corey Heim up to 4.
The first truck that stayed, or the last truck that stayed out is that Chandler Smith truck. He's struggling. That kind of messed up his plan with all those guys jumping on him like that.
Look at this mix of trucks. You see the black flag just flew in the air. I believe that is for the 22.
There you see Lane working the high side and Chandler trying to rebound after getting squeezed there. Whole lot of action on that restart.
Still just a 38.
And these guys that stayed out, you know, they're just fighting for their life, right? Their goal was stage points. Daniel Hemrick stayed out. You know, he's trying to hold off Chandler Smith. He's not going to be able to do it. He's just trying to get a handful of stage points here as Corey Heim looks to the inside of Jake Garcia.
We're talking about Jake Garcia again. He's just been amazing this year with just speed everywhere we go. See that bit of a gap, though, up to Stuart Friesen. So that means Corey Heim is going to pounce.
Tricon Garage in the 11, Thor Sport the 13.
And these older tires have actually held on a lot better than I thought they were going to. They fired off really good. They're holding on. I mean, you see Jake being able to hold off Corey Heim, who was dominant. Corey's really just trying to angle down off the corner. You see him hit that bump, get loose, can't put the power down. That's the tough part about trying to exit low off of 4. You want to have a straight shot off of 4 and be able to commit to throttle, but that bump just makes it really, really tough. So Corey's kind of in a tough spot here. He has Chandler Smith kind of starting to breathe down his neck. He can't open his entry up too much. You see Chandler try to squirt the throttle in the middle of the corner and get there to where Corey can't turn down the hill. So Corey's trying all he can to get by this 13 truck.
And Jake Garcia says, I'm not having any of that. And also Chandler Smith, he's on those older tires and they are running right with Corey Heim. So this is impressive.
Stuart Friesen got his truck wound up. We saw him start putting pressure on Gio Ruggiero before that caution. He's really going to try hard these last 7 laps to win this stage.
Guys, our flagman, he's been wearing out his arm with a black flag for a restart violation for multiple trucks here.
They're just out of line and not stacked up properly, and NASCAR didn't take too kindly to that, so they'll have to come down pit road. But we got a battle for the lead. Stuart Friesen wanting this stage win.
6 to go in stage number 1. Gio Ruggiero trying to hold him off.
But I got to tell you, Ryan, in about 3 of those 6 laps, Corey Haim's going to be there to join this party.
Yeah, he finally got by Jake Garcia, so he's going to run down. I don't know if he's going to be able to get there to win the stage, but he's going to get good stage points out of it. Now he's probably going to cycle to the lead.
Gio Ruggiero out front looking for his first stage win. A big moment for this rookie.
He is solid.
Talked to David Gilliland, co-owner of Tricon Garage yesterday, and he said last year we felt like short tracks were our weak link. We went back to work, we rebuilt trucks. Even though Corey Haim did win last year, it wasn't up to their standard for all of their trucks.
Chandler Smith starting to work over Jake Garcia as Lane Riggs with his fresher tires.
Michael, it shows you how close these trucks are, the 34-38 teammates. They are always finding each other on track.
Lane's going to try to do a big crossover, get back to the bottom of the Chandler Smith. He's reversing rolls, and now he puts him in the dirty air of Jake Garcia.
What a battle for 4th.
Now there's a pick with the 2 truck that Lane is going to have to. Oh, Chandler Smith trying to squeeze it right in the middle.
And right up front, there's lap traffic ahead of our leaders, and that's brought Corey Haim right into play.
And it is the final lap of stage number 1. Gio Ruggiero has one more lap truck to get around. That's the 33 of Frankie Muniz.
Frankie's going to hold on.
He does, and so does Gio Ruggiero, picking up his first stage win. Corey Haim got up to 2nd. You were close, Ryan.
I was close. It took him too long to get by the 13 truck, but I'm sure he's really excited about that, and I bet Gio Ruggiero is great, really pumped up for that stage win.
The 20-year-old from Massachusetts gets it done in stage number 1.
tonight. The All-Stars of the Cup Series battle in heat races at historic North Wilkesboro at 5 p.m. Eastern on FS2.
And we welcome you back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series from North Wilkesboro. Jamie Little, Michael Waltrip, Ryan Blaney with you. Ryan, you're going to be in the car later on today. I'll be covering you guys. It'll be fun for the heat races tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited. I got to work my way from the back. I start last in the first one.
Like I said, it'll be really fun.
Yeah. Hopefully I can make my way up like Lane Riggs has showed us that he can do today, and a couple other guys. So, and you see, those guys who stayed out under the last caution with about 20 to go, they're going to come in, get tires. They're going to restart back in the field, but you hope that their gamble was to Chandler Smith really fast into the pits. Josh.
Well, for Chandler Smith, other than being too fast in the pits right there, he said he was too free on entry. Otherwise, pretty happy with that truck. And for the 17 of Gio Ruggiero, first career stage win and running really well. He's struggling in 1 and 2, and he needs just to be snugged up a little bit, Caitlin.
Yeah, what about the 52 of Stuart Friesen? Fresh off the top 5 at Kansas. He said the balance is pretty good. A little snug, though, in both ends. He was 3rd in that stage. Bottom of your screen, Jake Garcia, 5 top 10s in the last 6 races. You guys talked about that consistency. He said, I need a little bit of rear lateral grip so I can drive the truck a little harder. He was 4th in that stage, guys.
Yeah, and you saw Chandler Smith had to back it up before they could start work on that truck. Work ongoing on pit road. 175 laps to go from North Wilkesboro. Pit road, a busy place. Stay with us. Stage number 2 coming up next. Oh, the history at North Wilkesboro. Opened in 1947. First Cup race here, 1949, won by Bob Flock. And here we are, Craftsman Truck Series race, and I think the fans like the fact that NASCAR has come back to North Wilkesboro.
I know somebody that likes it. I do. I mean, it's so cool, the history and being racing here in the 80s, 90s, and O's. That's pretty cool. You said you're getting old, Ryan. I just told people I got old. It's official.
still jump behind the wheel every so often, Michael.
Yeah, I raced
done.
a big old Crown Victoria the other day.
Yeah, you did.
There you go.
Kind of like an old person's
Yeah,
thing.
I guess
I'm
that's
just kidding. You mixing up with Travis Pastrana and Cletus?
Did you bring your own Crown Vic out there? Is that
No,
the age
they
you're
had,
at now?
they had 27 equally prepared Crown Vics.
There you go.
See there, stage 1 points. Gio Ruggiero takes home 10. Corey Heim ended up second with 9. All the way down, you see Kyle Busch ended up 10th there. No points for him. Obviously, you can't get points here in the Truck Series.
Corey picked the top. You talked about that bottom being a little bit challenging, so I think he likes it up there.
Yeah, it's won every restart so far, and Lane Riggs from the back. You know, he's finally going to restart in the front row and see if he's got anything for that 11 truck.
Here we go. The drivers approach the Echo Park Automotive restart zone. Corey Heim, Lane Riggs.
Oh, he's going to lean on him.
Up.
Lane
Oh,
sent it
both
in
of
there.
them get into the wall.
Four wide.
Grant Enfinger to the lead. Gio Ruggiero. Look at Brent Cruz in a second.
You know, that's what I was talking about, that inside lane, if you send it into turn 1, gosh, they're still beating and banging off of each other. Tires trying to come up to pressure. It's slick out there right now, and everyone's trying to sort it out.
After the contact, Corey Heim slides back to third. There's smoke on the 1 truck just ahead of him. Look at this mess. The 07, that's Kyle Busch. Raja Karuth, haven't talked about him in the 71, and there's Lane Riggs.
Lane Riggs got loose again just by himself, so that truck is free taking off, and he definitely saw it.
Really aggressive against our leader, Corey Heim. Just took him up the track and nearly into the wall, and Lane hasn't recovered from that.
Yeah, Brett Cruz, as you see Corey Heim get to the bottom of the 1 truck, he's got a little tire rub on the left rear. The smoke's getting better, but that could be a good and a bad thing. It might be clearing itself, or it might have worn through that tire a lot, so we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that.
Watch this contact. This is just overshooting turn 1. Wouldn't you agree, Ryan?
Yeah, you know, the 34 is just trying to arc it down in there as much as he could, and you know, no grip on new tires, low air, and once he gets in this spot, I mean, he knows he's in trouble, and he's trying to stay off the 11. I mean, he's trying not to do that, but he just really kind of thought his truck would have more grip than it did. And honestly, great job by everybody from getting through there. Being 5 wide off turn 2 is not easy, and everyone was able to come out fairly clean.
I yelled 4 wide, and then I just counted during the replay, and they were actually 5 wide at one point, and I didn't think that's something that was possible at North Wilkesboro. But like you said, they avoided disaster nicely. And what about Brent Cruz? Just riding on the outside, fighting as hard as he can to keep that second position away from Corey Heim.
If you're just joining us, the driver of the 1 truck making his Truck Series debut. Brent Cruz, that's a teammate to Corey Heim as they battle side by side. Impressive, but we expected this from this young man, and all the racing and all the winning he's already done.
Very highly touted young racer. Won races since he's been a teenager in cars. Now he's going to do the same in trucks one day.
He's still a teenager. For 3 more years, Michael, that's how young he is.
Yeah, you see him loose, right? He's loose. He's trying to push the truck to its limit right there. Corey's definitely faster, you know, and he's being smart. You know, it's easy for Corey to have gotten wound up after getting run into there on the restart or some contact, but he's doing a great job of just understanding what he needs to do right now and just slowly working over that 1.
We might find out he's still hot if that 38, 34 truck comes back up there in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's just a racing thing. You know, I mean, it's just, I don't think Lane Riggs meant to do that. Obviously, it just got into 1 a little hot and slid up the track. And like you said, no harm, no foul. Guys lost a few positions, but they're still going straight. They're not on the rollback. And as you see, Lane Riggs really trying to work over Raja, trying to get to the right rear, actually.
I like your positivity here, Ryan.
Yeah, I do too.
I could be more positive in the booth. I might be mad if I was those guys in the car, but
you're not as that positive on the radio.
I've seen you react to situations like that. That's why I kind of wondered how you felt about it.
That's the beauty of being in the booth and not having a helmet on. I can look at it from a little broader perspective.
I'll tell you another truck we haven't said much about, but he's right there in the top 5, and he's hounding Corey Heim and Brent Cruz. There's Rajah. He had some problems on pit road. That's Tyler Ankrum. That truck's been fast everywhere we go this year, and he's right there in touch with that battle for second. Tyler is a cattle farmer lives in Statesville, North Carolina. It's a lot of fun to talk to Tyler about his racing. He ended that long winless streak earlier this year and just been running really well this year.
Yeah, Rockingham, what a win for him. Caitlin, what are you hearing?
Yeah, well, I had a chance to talk with Tyler about the exact topic you guys are discussing. He said it's been very rewarding being up front every week and every single place we go so far this season. He feels like he's improved, and he attributed all of that to his relationship with his crew chief, Mark Hillman, to all of that continuity and success now in year 2 together. But he said this stretch of races is so important, obviously, in this series. Lots of back-to-back events. He really wants to keep that momentum rolling right along. But he said the focus right now for us, of course, beyond the obvious of wins, is getting more stage wins and trying to create as much of a points buffer as possible, guys.
Yeah, Caitlin, you mentioned this streak, 6 straight races for these truckers. We're right in the middle of it right now. Ryan, I know you guys are used to it. You have 28 straight coming up right now. You're in the middle of that.
We're used to the weekend grind, but you know, you just see a battle on the back half of the top 10. Chandler Smith really trying to work his way back up after that, staying out, you know, under the caution, and then having a bad pit stop, sliding long in his box and being crooked. So a lot of great action going on.
Grant Enfinger continues to lead. Brent Cruz here at North Wilkesboro will step aside, but you won't miss a thing. Going side by side. Welcome back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, live from North Wilkesboro. This battle rages on between Corey Heim and young Brent Cruz. Does he get it? Yes, Corey Heim moves into second. Grant Enfinger continues to lead out front.
Yeah, Corey's been working over Brent for a long time, and you know, every time he'd get along. Oh, that's got tight right there. More damage on the one left rear. You know, as we watched this battle, Corey was really trying to, you know, angle off turn 4. He could angle down off turn 2 and get alongside, get to the quarter panel of the one truck. But then as he tried to do it in 3 and 4, there's that big bump we were talking about on the bottom. You know, and that thing is really tough when you try to angle down and put the power down. And we're going to slow this down. We're going to show a great shot here. You see the 11 truck on the bottom, angling down the racetrack. Boom. You see the truck bounce right there. It's just, it makes him check up, right? And the one can just carry so much more momentum. So that's what makes it tough to pass off of turn 4 on the bottom. You really have to be kind of above that bump, or your car has to be just kind of ride quality a lot better over that to make that possible.
Lane Riggs continues to try to march forward after that restart where he lost all that ground. He's able to get to the inside of Ankrum. Can't quite complete the pass. He's got a faster truck right now, but Tyler's just hanging on tough up top.
This is slow on the bottom.
Now
Lane had restarted second, slipped back to sixth after the contact.
this is what it looks like to be the leader, Ryan. That's pretty nice, isn't it?
Hey, that's always nice right there.
32.
Josh?
Well, Grant Enfinger is one of just 2 drivers in the field to finish top 10 in both races here at North Wilkesboro. But despite their past success here, they still tweaked on their setup. The team telling me, we know everybody else in the field is going to get better, so we got to make sure we are progressing with our short track package as well. But right now, Grant running out front, but saying he's still struggling with grip in that truck. He can't get to the wheel the way he wanted to. A little bit easier when you are in the lead. But when you come up on those lap trucks, that might be a factor for the 9 right now.
Jeff Stankiewicz is crew chief on the box. What a great working relationship these two have.
Chandler's been impressive, hasn't he?
He's made up a lot of ground, you know, and he's one of these, you know, trucks that we all thought were really fast early, and it seems like they got it just a little better. I mean, he just went up there past the 34, and he has new tires, right? He was that group that pitted there at the stage caution. And it seems like they've really made some great adjustments to that truck. And, you know, he's been able to drive up to guys and pass them, you know, within 3-4 laps. So that thing is really strong right now.
He's the only driver in the top 10 that pitted and got those tires. Stuart Friesen has gotten stuck back in the 11th position. So this is a really fast 38 truck as he continues to try to march forward.
What a great race here for third. And Michael, you set it up perfectly. Just in practice, talking about how these truckers could run all over the place, and that set the stage for an action-packed race like this, passing throughout.
Yeah, really good move by Chandler Smith to get to the right rear of Brett Cruz. He was kind of pinned on the bottom, trying to find clean air out of the 18. I mean, that just worked out perfectly for the 38 truck, and now he's going to set his sights right on the white line to try to get under Tyler Ankrum.
Man, he's got a fast truck right now. It's cool to see. Great battling, as you mentioned, Jamie.
Chandler Smith, such a good short track driver. Multiple wins in the Truck Series, won at Bristol earlier this year, but he's never been here to North Wilkesboro, so not looking like an old rookie at this track. Laps to go in stage number 2. Grant Enfinger continues to lead over Corey Heim from North Wilkesboro. Tonight, it's baseball night in America as Matt Olson and the Braves take on Alex Bregman and the Red Sox, or the Twins battle the Brewers. Check your local listings for the game in your area. That's tonight, 7 Eastern, only on Fox. We welcome you back as Grant Enfinger has about a 1.5-second lead over Corey Heim. Chandler Smith in the 38 is on rails, Ryan. I know you've been watching him.
Yeah, he's making a lot of ground up. He just got the third during the break. And the leaders are now starting to catch the back of the field, right? So it's going to be hard on the 9, it's going to be hard on the 11 and the 38. So now we're going to get a really good idea of, all right, how versatile is your truck? Can you run the middle? Can you run the bottom? Where can you get by these lappers and still try to keep your lap time up? So this is a big test here, and we're only 14 to go here until the stage. So these are really important laps.
Yeah, and they're starting to catch some solid trucks now, guys that are running inside the top 20. So that's going to make it even more and more difficult to move forward. Daniel Hemrick earlier had a problem on pit road, got a penalty, and he's marched his way through the field. Caught Gio Ruggiero, been stuck right there for a while. This is a battle for 15th. But looks like a slip there by the 22 up the hill. Daniel can't quite get down there. Tyler Tomasi is that 22 truck. He's had some issues today, still on the road.
It's Daniel Hemrick up 10 spots since that speeding penalty.
It's good to have a fast truck, but man, when you get stuck back in traffic, we talk about every week, Jamie, how competitive this field is. I mean, you look at the top 20 and you think any of those drivers could win the race, and that's when it gets difficult to make your way through the field. That's why Chandler Smith and both Lane Riggs have been so impressive today doing just that.
And here's someone we haven't talked about really at all today, Kyle Busch, always a threat, whenever he comes to any series. And, we're watching him. He wasn't great the first stage, wasn't very good in practice yesterday, just passed Brent Cruz for 6th, and I love the lane he's running. Look how high he's entering turn 1.
You know why you love it? Because you want to do that tonight and tomorrow.
I'm learning a lot right here. So he's starting to push the lane up in 3 and 4 and the entrance to 1, and he's found a lot of speed. So I'm curious to see. Kyle Busch is one of the best at getting his cars better and better through the race. I'm curious to see where they can get this 07 truck. Caitlin.
Ryan, you talked about it. He's always so successful when he's in any series. 67 wins he's had in the truck series. But we did see some of his issues start in practice, like you mentioned, Michael, and scanning that team. They had to take some big swings at it. It seemed to kind of translate over to the race as well. He kept complaining about a loose condition that just seemed to worsen over time. But he's just been kind of hanging right in that 6th, 7th place spot so far in this race, guys.
You know what, Caitlin, last time by, he was the fastest truck on the track, though, so he's working that groove that Ryan was so much admiring, and he's picking up speed, too, as the race goes on. How different are the race conditions? Will they change throughout the day? Ryan, I know it's going to be hotter, it's slicker, but that rubber going down will make things different, too, won't it?
It changes a lot, and you're always having to figure out, all right, where can I start to make lap time? Where can I run my car or truck that's better? And that's the beauty of these racetracks. And the cool thing about this place is, you can see where the lane, like the top of the groove, is at, right? It gets super dark, and then it gets to the light gray, right? And that is the edge of grip. But you can kind of start pushing that lane up. It takes a while, but you can push it up, and you see, Grant Enfinger starting to slip a little bit. Corey Heim's really starting to put the pressure, and they've got a ton of lap traffic in between. So 5 to go in the stage. This is going to be a great battle to the end.
Big slide for Grant Enfinger there off turn 4. That thing was way sideways. That heating up the rear tires isn't going to help that any at all.
Corey Heim taking a look. Grant Enfinger's led more laps today than all of 2025 combined. He's led 56 laps, but Corey Heim is there. Heim has led 56 laps as well today.
And I tell you, Chandler Smith's going to become part of this battle here too. You see him right there, right behind Corey Heim. So these guys are stoved up behind lap traffic. These guys don't want to go another lap down. These guys are racing hard for the stage win. So this is going to be a great final 3 laps.
The speed differential in the front runners versus the lap trucks.
Oh, we got one in the wall.
Is that the 44? Connor Jones? It is. Stopped on track inside turn number 2.
He's been into the outside wall. I saw him. He and Matt Crafton were battling hard for the 16th position.
Looks like a right front tire if I had to guess anything on Connor's truck.
So that'll end stage number 2. That brings out the caution for the 3rd time today.
There's Craftsman. I saw him all over the back of the 44 just a couple of laps before.
Yeah, you see it blue right there.
Yeah, just
right front blows. And fortunately, honestly, I mean, blowing tires is not fun, but he was only 2 feet off the wall when it did, so they might be able to repair that truck and get it back out there.
Matt did a nice job of getting to the bottom of that 44 truck when he had his problem.
Let's listen to Corey Himes' radio.
Tight in the center, snappy loose off. I don't know if I've damaged it all left rear, but it doesn't drive the same as it did the first round. Tell the 34, thanks for that, by the way. Great patience displayed once again by the 34 every week. Thank you.
Little tongue-in-cheek there.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, you know, Corey said he's tighter in the middle, snappy loose off, right? And that's just traffic. You know, I mean, you're in dirtier air as what he described it as the first run. And so, you know, your truck doesn't turn as good. You're going to be worse on the exit. As you see, Grant Enfinger is going to win the stage. Corey Himes second in both stages today. So really good stage points for him. We have a great setup for the last stage of this race. There's going to be some really fast trucks coming forward. And from Corey Himes' audio, I think there's going to be a little bit of, you know, aggression behind the wheel. So I'm looking forward to the last of it.
Must watch. And Grant Enfinger picks up his second stage win this season. We'll be back for pit stops after this. Tomorrow, the NASCAR Cup Series All-Star Race takes center stage at the legendary North Wilkesboro track. It all begins with open races at 5 Eastern, and then the best of the best battle for the crown at 8 o'clock. That's all tomorrow on FS1. Look at that, Ryan. Center stage, glass is on, looking good.
As that homeless guy.
Pit road is open. Josh Chandler Smith is in his box.
But yeah, for Chandler Smith, they got the drive off better in that truck, but he still said he's a little bit too tight, so they're going to free him up to help out this next run. For Grant Enfinger with that truck, the balance has been pretty much the same all race long, lacking that grip that he needs. A track bar adjustment for that 9 truck, Caleb.
Well, Josh, Corey Heim said, guys, make sure you check for any damage on that left rear because it doesn't drive as well as it did. He said, also, I'm free in. I can't get the right rear under me as well, was the feedback he gave. For Tyler Ankrum, he said, it's starting to build a little free on exit, but tight in the center. His crew chief asked, should I free you up to keep up with the racetrack? Tyler's response was no, guys.
Corey Heim, Grant Enfinger's pit crews ranked 1 and 2 as they come off 1 and 2. That was so close.
That was close. I thought the 9 had a little bit of trouble on the right rear, but they did a good job recovering. And this was about as close as it gets.
How tempting is it to squeeze that gas down just a little bit more than you should, though?
Pit crew's got the job done. Grant Enfinger hangs on to it after stage win. Number 2 on the season. It's all Grant Enfinger. Can he hang on for the 3rd and final stage? Welcome back to North Wilkesboro Speedway. You're watching the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Happy to have you with us on this Saturday afternoon. So the end of stage 2, the pits opened. We had some great battles, but we also had some setbacks. Ty Majeski, one of those. Trouble on pit road here.
Yeah, you see the right rear. It looks like he kind of tripped over the hose. The hose got caught under the right rear tire. Look at that. Now he pulled it away. And so that definitely slowed that stop down. That's just one of those things those guys can get tangled up with that hose if it's not thrown properly.
Now the other one, Kyle Busch, you guys were talking about how fast he was coming on. He just had one of the fastest laps of the race. Busted.
My
speeding.
guy. Oh, man. I had Kyle Busch to really be a player in this. And we'll have to see where he can come up here the last 100 laps. As we see the choose, Corey Heim is going to choose the bottom, front row. You saw Lane Riggs earlier, the restart before, get loose, get into the leader on the outside. We'll see how Corey can approach it. He hasn't had a start front row on the bottom yet. Every time he's been on the front row, he's chose the top. So this is like a new learning curve for the 11.
Let's listen to Lane Riggs' radio on that restart.
Yeah, 10-4. Sorry about that restart, guys. Just, damn, I didn't even get in there that hard. Just because error got off the side. Glad I did break it more myself. Does it feel like squishy low on air? Yeah, I just felt like I was just in the mud. Couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, you know, the crew chief asked him, did it feel squishy low on air, right? I mean, these air pressures, we get so low. I mean, sometimes in the single digits on the left sides. And that you feel the tire moving, right? And it feels like it's just, you're on, like a beach ball isn't totally inflated, right? You're trying to roll around on it, and that just makes the trucks all unpredictable getting into turn 1. So that's something that these guys have to really pay attention to as they fire it off into turn 1 and 2.
And that restart, Lane Riggs got into Corey Heim. That was the difference in stage 2. Here they come out of 4. Grant Enfinger on the outside, Corey Heim on the inside. Raja Krug tried to take a peek.
You see Corey, he kind of backed up turn 1, right? And he got a great exit off of turn 2. So he knew that it was slippery down there, and he set him up for the exit. And that's what really has put him in position to possibly take this lead from Grant. Look at 38 gets in the back of Grant.
Chandler Smith contact in the back of Corey Heim. Chandler Smith is second. Grant Enfinger slides back, and there's Lane Riggs side by side with him for third.
Lane slid up into turn 1 again and just barely held it off of Grant Enfinger. This truck doesn't like those squishy air pressure you're talking about. Ankrum heating the back up of Riggs there now, and he clears Grant Enfinger.
Yeah, Lane Riggs able to clear for third. As you see up ahead of this battle, Chandler Smith giving Corey Heim all he can handle. That truck is really, really fast right now.
Chandler Smith has not led yet today, Michael.
We know how hard this pass is to make down on the bottom. There's those bumps Ryan pointed out. Can he stay side by side?
And on low air, the bump's worse, right? Your truck will actually bottom out and hit the racetrack, so you have to be really careful there. Gosh, he's running super low through 1 and 2 trying to cut distance.
Wow, that
His truck sticks too.
Handling, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can really tell that 38 has got some good grip on that bottom.
Remember, Chandler Smith started in the back for an unapproved adjustment before the race started. Here he is battling Corey Heim for the lead.
I can't believe how low he can get through 1 and 2. You know, it's just such a momentum corner, and he just really eases into 1 and rolls through the middle so fast, and he can put the power down. See this bump here? He's got to pedal it just a little bit, but that truck actually goes over it better than the 11 that we saw. So now the 38's bailed on the bottom. He's like, all right, I can't hurt my tires running this low radius, this tighter radius. I have to just kind of settle in. I couldn't get the pass done in the first 5 laps or so. Now I have to really just settle in, save my stuff. He got a little tight there.
But maybe he's decided, you know, I'll see what my truck will do up top. He did get tight and go up higher, but I like what you're saying, Ryan. He just has to take care of those tires. He can't just keep running that bottom. We know how hard that is on him, but I think this is a veteran move here. He just said, I'm going to cool my jets and see what I got.
Yeah, you have to pick and choose your moments. You can't just run 110% the whole time. You're gonna regret that, you know, 30 laps into this run. So he kind of figured, all right, I can't pass him right now doing what I'm doing. I'm going to cool my stuff off just for a second, and now I'm going to try to set him up again.
Let's go back and take a look at the restart.
What a wild restart it was for guys that are trying to win a championship.
Oof. Yeah, you see the 38 just touched the left rear of the 9, and the 11 slid up and just got clipped by the 38 in the right rear. So that was an exciting set of corners right there.
See what Lane Riggs saw here from that onboard camera.
Yeah, you see the 11 hit that bump, and it just shot him up the racetrack. I don't think he wanted to get to the wall or in front of the 38, but it made him do it.
Ben Rhodes hasn't had the day we were looking for. He had a really fast truck in practice, and you can see there, he just squeezed into the outside wall. There's action all over this racetrack. Here's Daniel Hemrick into the side of Brent Cruz, and he, in turn, almost clipped Sammy Smith in the 7.
Brent Cruz has got a lot of tire marks on the left side of that truck behind the numbers.
Hey,
nothing of his doing.
He's picked up a lot of experience today, hasn't he?
He has.
Brent Cruz back in 8th right now, doing a great job.
Great job. That's what I was going to say, Jamie. I'm really impressed with this young man, as we knew we would be. All the kids talk about these days is the talent that Brent has.
You see just in front of Brent Cruz is Grant Enfinger, right? Restarted first. Had a little bit of that contact. Got roughed around a little bit more and back to 7th. So hopefully they can get that truck righted. You saw the speed in it. We'll see if he already 4.5 seconds back. We'll see if he can start making up some ground as this run goes on.
The battle rages on for the lead.
So good.
He cooled his stuff off for a few laps, and he's back at it.
But look at that. It squeezes up high, and he just has to back out of the gas.
Chandler Smith's story is interesting. You know, Ryan, he raced for Kyle Busch Motorsports. No problem winning. The guy was always fast. Then he moves over to the Xfinity Series, finds victory lane a few times there. then doesn't have a ride the end of last year. Decides he's coming back. Great opportunity with Front Row for his second truck. Deal came together last minute, and they've already won this year.
Let me ask you this as the champion of NASCAR in 2023. If you're Chandler Smith, do you ride 4 or 5 truck lengths off that 11 truck for a while? You can tell he's faster than him, or do you continue to keep the pressure on him?
Yeah, it just depends on how you're feeling in your truck. You know, if you think if you can run 90% right here behind him, keep the pressure on him. You know, if you're running 110% right here, all right, maybe you back off a little bit. But as this run goes on, we saw both these trucks were probably the fastest over the long haul. So we'll see what kind of tires they have when we come back from break.
This battle for the lead continues. Corey Heim leads Chandler Smith. 85 laps to go from North Wilkesboro. We'll go side by side, and you won't miss a thing. What a battle up front. Corey Heim continues to lead over Chandler Smith, staying so close for about 25 laps and counting here. But a lot of lap trucks doing a great job working their way around. Meanwhile, the 88, Matt Crafton, had an incident here in the 91.
Oh, that's just a misjudgment there. I think Jack tried to swing her into the corner, and there was a truck there. You can see Kyle Busch is right in the middle of this battle. As you see, then Matt slides up into the wall.
Yeah, Matt just got a little bit too high on entry into turn 1, got in that gray.
And that 5 truck right behind Matt there, that's Tony Breidinger. She's doing a nice job battling with some really good trucks. She's currently in the 21st position. You see Jack Wood right there ahead of her. Caitlin, she's doing a nice job here.
Yeah, she is. And, you know, I had a chance to talk with her about the learning curve coming over full-time to trucks. She said it's been a lot harder than I expected. She said, not that I thought it would be easy by any means, but she said it's just been a lot to learn with so many new racetracks all at once. But she is trying to trust the process and not allow the information to overload her. But as you guys know, outside of racing, she does all kinds of other marketing and business endeavors. You see it here. She was featured in the Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition. She said she was just in New York City for the launch of that magazine edition. She said it's a lot to keep up with, certainly, but she wants to continue to expand the business side that, of course, is so important here in the sport, guys.
Right now, Caitlin, she's just a couple of truck lengths off the top 20, pulling into the top 20 right behind Jack Wood there off turn 4.
And Michael, she's had a couple top 20s in the last 3 races, so She's getting the hang of it.
From the booth, I'm just seeing more pace than we saw early in the season. It's good to see someone get a chance to get their legs under them and keep getting better at the sport.
Talked about Gio Ruggiero quite a lot. Ran up front, led 24 laps today. Slipped back after the last round of stops. But, guys, he's back in the top 5.
Yeah, really good recovery by Gio. He slipped to 15th there that last stage, and he's done a good job to get back in the top 5.
Luke Baldwin's done a nice job. We saw him up front and then slip back, and now he's back into the top 10. So this is just another awesome performance by this young racer, Ryan.
Yeah, really good job by Luke. You know, he made his way through the field early in the race, having to start near the back. Fell off a little bit during the last part of the first stage, and now he's made his way back to the top 10. Really clean looking truck right there. He's done a good job, but just kind of pacing himself, trying to figure out how to work his way back to the field. Is Josh, what do you got on his teammate Ty Majeski?
Well, off the top of the race, I talked about Ty Majeski needing a bounce-back day. That is not happening. You guys documented he had issues on pit roads in both trips. As far as the balance of that truck, it's been all over the place. During practice, he couldn't get it dialed in the way he wants it. In the race, came over the radio and said, I just can't race with these guys. You saw the back end just trying to slip out on him right there. And to make matters worse, Ty Majeski's battling a cold. His crew chief, Joe Shearer, is battling a cold as well. So just a rough day right now for this 98 team, who's had one top 10 in the last 6 races, Jamie.
But I tell you what, you just look at these trucks he's racing against. I mean, these are race-winning trucks that he's trying to do battle with. So it's like in the Cup Series, you just find yourself a tick off, you're running 20th, and the Truck Series is getting to be just like that.
Yeah, you know, the Truck Series has a great variety of teams and drivers that can go out there and win, and the competition level is just so high. Competition level is high in any of the series, you know, and it's tough to break through, and it just shows you're off by a little bit. It's going to show a lot on the racetrack.
Just not that short track ace performance that I guess we come to expect when it's Ty Majeski.
This is not your typical short track. They're running all from the bottom to the wall. This is fun to watch.
That's right. And speaking of somebody you saw Kyle Busch there for a brief moment, but the lead is still staying fairly tight. Chandler Smith only half a second back, just over half a second back at the 11, trying to keep him in tow.
Corey Heim has now led 93 laps today at North Wilkesboro. Can he make it 2 for 2? historic North Wilkesboro Speedway. Historic North Wilkesboro Speedway saw Larry Mack back in his crew chiefing days. Jeff Gordon in there. He actually won the last Cup race here back in '96, the last points-paying race. Of course, this is the third year we've had the All-Star here.
What about the way this racetrack was renovated? The track facility itself, the pavement, the ultra-modern. Things have been cleaned up and new, but they have that historic feel to it, the way they preserved the signs and did all the buildings around here. It's just a beautiful experience.
So Corey Heim continues to lead over Chandler Smith by a second and a half. Talking about Kyle Busch and his struggles today, back there running mid-pack.
It hasn't been without action, though. Look at him trying just to do anything he can to get these positions. Bam!
Yeah, you know, Kyle got nabbed with that speeding penalty there at the end of that stage. And then this is a great move, top of 3 right here. He's been rolling the top really, really good. And is able to get a little 2-for-1 there with Raja and Ty. And he's up to 15th. You know, he's putting together good laps. He's too far back. You know, he's going to need a yellow here, a good pit stop to try to get back in the swing of things. But he's been the one that's been searching around the most today. And I expect nothing else of Kyle Busch of always searching for grip.
Kyle, of course, ran at Atlanta, won that race, and he'll next be in the truck next week at Charlotte, and then Nashville, and Watkins Glen will round out his allotted 5 races for the season.
Battle for 4th here.
Yeah, Gio's run down Stuart Friesen, putting together really good lap times. The truck looks really good, too. So they found a little bit more pace, you know, up and down day for that team, but they found the right thing when it matters the most.
What a learning day for Gio Ruggiero. He felt what it's like to run up front, lead laps. He went back, got buried in the field, and now just knocking them off one at a time.
Yeah, he's got the pace right now to get around Friesen as he marches toward Lane Riggs now.
Caitlin.
Well, looking at that 52, Stuart Friesen, fresh off a top 5 performance last time out, and that's where he's been hanging out for a lot of this day. He said, it's been big for us having the momentum turn after actually questioning whether he wanted to compete anymore after he'd had several rough weeks in a row. But he said, I'm just trying to keep the faith, push through this rough stretch and weather the ups and downs. He said, you know, when you get wrecked or you wreck yourself, you really do start to question a lot of things. But he said at this racetrack, he did feel like he was going to have a good baseline based on what they did here last season. So they've certainly been running really well. Potentially could get back-to-back top 5 performances, Jamie.
Thanks, Caitlin. Yep, Stuart Friesen hanging on to that 5th spot.
I looked at his dirt schedule, and like 17 days of May, he's going to be racing his dirt car, plus what he's doing with us here in NASCAR. So just a racer's racer is Stuart Friesen.
Which is 6 straight races for the Truck Series, and that's a lot. 25 races on the season, so there's usually some nice off weekends in there.
You see Gio Ruggiero is driven away from Stuart. He's got a really fast truck right now, that 17. Put nearly a half a straightaway on him in just a few laps. Stuart caught in a mess there with traffic. Laps are winding down. Lap after lap, the fastest truck is still Corey Heim. Guys will be trying to cut into that lead.
So Corey Heim up front leading. He's now surpassed over 500 laps led this season. That's over 300 laps more than anyone else.
We've been talking about him more than anyone else because he has been the story all year long.
He has, but we can't crown him the champion yet, right, Michael? Because if that was the case, he would have won 6 races already by now. Things have changed. Things have happened to him, been wrecked or mechanical or poor pit call. There's been multiple things that have kept him out from absolutely dominating. Caitlin.
Well, looking at Brent Cruz there on that one truck, as we've talked about, making his debut in the Truck Series. The feedback he'd given on the radio was a little tight center, but the exit does feel good. He told me just before the race he believed doing that test at Rockingham and Richmond was going to be really advantageous for him. But he said, you know, this is just an incredible moment for me, being able to move up to one of NASCAR's top series. He said his whole family, of course, is here with him as well, and a very respectable run for him in his debut, Jamie.
Absolutely, running top 10 in your debut. This is the first of 9 races for Brent Cruz. He'll be running with Tricon this year.
Yeah, I remember my first truck start at Bristol in 2012, and it's just a cool experience, you know. And looking back at a past champion, Ben Rhodes, kind of a scrappy day. You know, Door Sport has been honestly probably not as good as we thought they'd be, as we see the 22.
Caution is out
Of Tomasi off the pace again, and the yellow flag waves, and now get another shot at pit road.
So that is the 4th caution flag of the day. 39 laps to go here from North Wilkesboro.
Well, here we go. Here's the money stop. You know, it's most likely for a lot of guys going to be the last stop of the day, unless you're in the back and you have nothing to lose if you get a caution within 15 laps or so. So this is like no mistakes. Don't speed. Don't have a slow pit stop. This is really important.
What happened.
We've seen split strategy as we look back at what happened. 75 gets bumped into by Stuart Friesen. That'll knock you out of the way. And then he decides to hit the 22. Patrick Emmerlin didn't hit him
Well,
at
looks
all.
like 22's already got a tire down.
Lost the tire. Yeah, that's probably why he was backing up. Those guys were really tight, as you see the sparks flying from the right front of that number 22 truck. Now, we've seen split strategy, Ryan. I mean, I think you got to come here. I mean,
I think you do. You know, you're going to probably go back green with 34 laps to go, something like that. I don't think you can stay out here. There's not enough, you know, kind of time to. I mean, maybe you'll stay out, but they've run a lot of laps under green, so I'd be curious to see. I think most of the field is going to come. I don't know if there's any ideas on the pit boxes of if you just take right sides right here if you need track position. Like if you're Kyle Busch in 12th, truck's pretty fast. Can you get the lead taking 2?
Maybe he just stays out, too. That could be an option.
They won't put past him.
Pit road is open. Let's see what we get.
11 stays out.
Wow. I'm coming if I'm everybody
Everybody
else.
should come right
yes.
now. Lane Riggs stays out as well.
Chandler came. Here
Chandler
comes
Smith. Josh.
Well, yeah, Chandler Smith said after 5 laps, he was about sideways in that truck, saying he needs more lateral bite, more drive off. He's struggling right now to catch up to Corey Heim and get around him. We saw him during that last section, so he needs a little help in that 38 machine.
That's a lot of green flag laps on these tires. This is going to be fun.
About 62 laps of green on those tires as you see a handful of others on pit road. Interesting, Michael, you said it. Split strategy.
Split strategy. I got 4 trucks staying out. Corey Heim, Lane Riggs, Brent Cruz, and Gio Ruggiero.
What will be the winning strategy? We'll find out. Stay with us. Welcome back to North Wilkesboro Speedway. Watching the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. What did I say?
Drama.
Craftsman Truck Series. This is drama. All right, guys. Remember what happened 2 restarts ago between Corey Heim and, of course, you had Lane Riggs.
Yeah.
So what are we going to see here?
We're going to see them going for it. We know the intensity is going up, but what I'm going to watch for is that outside truck in row 3.
Yeah.
That's Chandler Smith with those tires. We've got drama here in Wilkesboro.
Yes, we do. You know, so they got used tires, the first 4 trucks. First 2 rows have used tires, 63 laps on their tires. The 13 is on rights, 38, and everyone behind him is on 4. So 32 to go coming at the line. This is going to be a big restart.
Here we go. Green flag is in the air. Corey Heim on the outside. What does Lane Riggs do here? It's clean, but here comes Gio Ruggiero on the 17. Chandler Smith on new tires. Here he comes.
Already.
That white truck on the inside.
He's going to clear the 17 off turn 4 and set his sights on P2. He had a great restart. That has worked out perfectly for Chandler Smith.
Now the question is, have we seen our last caution? You know how these things get late in the going. 3 wide at North Wilkesboro. They're stacked up in the back.
Corey Heim, Lane Riggs on those older tires. Can they hold off Lane Riggs? Chandler Smith, Lane's teammate, back in 3rd.
Look at that mess. That's action right there.
Chandler Smith underneath Lane Riggs down the back straightaway.
There's your battle for 2nd. Chandler's way fast right now. Look at him make that move.
Lane's going to let his teammate go, tries to go win the race.
Chandler Smith into 2nd, 1 truck to go.
And we know how good that 1 truck is. Can he hold off the fresh tires of Chandler Smith?
Yeah, you know, we saw this in stage 1 with these guys who stayed out on older tires. They were actually able to fare pretty well for the first 10 laps or so. Then the tires kind of started to really show their muscle. So 28 to go, still a long ways to go. So you got the 11 truck, who's been the best truck all day long. The 38's been his closest competitor on 60 laps fresher tires.
Last time by, just a little bit faster was Chandler Smith, but he's not making ground like you thought he might, Ryan. He's just sort of hanging in there.
Yeah, he's hanging in, and I feel like maybe in 10 or 15 laps it might be able, the 38 might be able to close the gap a little bit, but you're really seeing the speed out of the 11. The 11 might have just been running 80% or so, saving his stuff in case they got this later caution to where he had a little bit of tire left in the bank.
Corey Heim over Chandler Smith, Lane Riggs, Tyler Ankrum, Brent Cruz making his Truck Series debut right there in the 1 truck, rounding off the top 5.
In the top 5, that's exactly what that young man was hoping for. A solid, competitive run. Gio Ruggiero there in the 17 is all over him.
Guys, we've talked about Kyle Busch and his struggles today, but he has been driving through the field. Got another speeding penalty. So did Caden Honeycutt on that last round of stops.
Last time by, the fastest truck on the track was Chandler Smith, so he's got pace. But when you have the best truck like we've seen all day with Corey Heim and put him out front, that clean air really helps as well. There's the 45 you spoke of, Jamie, battling up there with Kyle Busch.
Back in 15th and 16th.
Raja Carruth, Ben Rhodes battling for 9th and 10th right now. Daniel Hemrick right in front of him. Daniel's been a little bit off the pace today, but really they've done a good job of getting that truck better. I mean, 8th is probably the best he's been all day. So they finally were able to work on that truck just a little bit.
They had that penalty earlier as well, so definitely a nice recovery for that 19 team up to 8th.
There's your battle for the lead.
Chandler's inching back in. He's inching back closer to him as they continue to get laps. And look at the line Chandler's running in 1 and 2. He's running way down low. We saw him do this early on the previous restart. He was running right on the bottom line. That's usually not where you want to go, but he's able to make it work on those newer tires. And I think that's just the bottom's going to get a little better as some rubber gets put down on there, but it's also harder on the tires.
As the leader crosses the line, we've reached our Craftsman, 20 to go.
Oh, and it's a nail biter. 2 differing lines. We talked about at the opening of the show. You got all kinds of options here at North Wilkesboro.
These front row trucks, these teammates have not made it easy On Corey Heim today, yes, he has led the most laps, but they have been hard charging. Look at Chandler Smith closing.
Corey Heim just slipped really big in 3 and 4. I mean, he's right on the edge of the grip, and gosh, he's pushing that truck hard. So just kind of like what I thought, like the older tires will fire, but then it seems like they just get hot. So the 11 is gonna, I don't think the 11 can go down and block the lane. The 38's running a 1 and 2. He just kind of has to stick to his guns up top.
Chandler Smith keeps taking a peek.
He's going to have to run 18 perfect laps to keep that 38 behind him.
That's a lot of laps.
That is.
You know, it's many laps to go.
That's a whole bunch of turns, too.
Seeing the pylon there on the left side, last pit and lap number. It's old tires versus new tires.
He makes that 1 and 2 up high work really well, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's all about momentum, right? And he's getting to that top lane. Progressive banking we talk about here in that top lane, it feels like it has a ton more banking in the third lane than it does in the second. He's able to roll momentum, and the 38 is complete opposite. White line hugging on entry and exit, but look at the run the 11 can get off the corner. So that's going to be tough for the 38. We've already talked about how tough it is to make the bottom work off of 4 with that bump, and this is the first lap the 38's gone to the middle lane, trying to find some cleaner air, because the 11's done a good job of pinning it to the bottom, giving all the dirty air to the 38, as the 38's starting to change his line and trying to get up the racetrack in 1 and 2.
You can just see that brain working, can't you? He said, I got to move around. This isn't working. What am I going to do? Maybe that's sending signals to Corey Heim not to just trust where you think I'm going. I can be versatile.
Two 22-year-olds battling each other. Toyota versus Ford. Tricon versus Front Row as they're getting into some lap trucks just ahead.
Just when you want to give the advantage to Chandler Smith, Corey Heim puts together a couple of good laps and puts a little bit of space between he and second place runner.
Yeah, they're just kind of trading laps here. Like, you know, one lap, it'll be a 10th one way, then a 10th the other way. Lapper gets out of the way. That was a great move by Frankie Muniz right there. Let the leaders race it out here to the end of the race.
See Gio Ruggiero, Grant Enfinger on the right side. That battles for 6th.
Red Cruz just ahead of them, driven away a bit. Grant's got a little bit better truck there off turn 2.
Corey Heim, 4/10 of a second lead with 11 laps to go.
Oh, look at that tight battle.
Right rear, door.
Fastest lap of the day, turned by the 38 of Chandler Smith, 118 miles an hour. This is really interesting when we had that split decision to pit or not to pit.
I like what Chandler did. He tried to outrun him on the same tires and couldn't do that. He came to pit road and got him 4 more and it's still a struggle.
Chandler's loose though. You saw him slide all the way through the center and exit of 3 and 4. He's trying hard, but I think he's realizing my time is running out and I'm not really making gains on the 11. So he's overstepping his truck, which he has to. I mean, he has no other choice than to run the tire off of it, and the 11's done a good job of just being nice and neat and simple, running his lane, understanding where my truck's the best, because you've held him off so far. Just got to do the same thing for the next 8 laps.
We heard Chandler Smith on his radio saying, I wanted to pit. We couldn't beat him on the other tires. Let's give it a whirl. His crew chief agreed, and that was the decision was made.
Look at Ben Rhodes, guys, still making moves forward up to 7th in that 99 truck. What a battle up front for the lead. I feel like we've had this all day. Maybe different drivers we've been talking about, but it's been a heck of a battle up front. Chandler Smith, though, time is running out.
Yeah, Chandler's really starting to commit to the middle of 3 and 4, and it's actually helped him out a little bit. He's getting more comfortable up there. It takes you a few laps to figure it out. All right, how do I have to enter? What's my entry speed? What's my roll speed? How can I figure that out? But he's actually starting to creep just a little bit closer to the 11.
Spencer Boyd in that 76 truck on the outside.
Now the 11 can't run the lane that he likes, right? He has to go in on the bottom. This is going to help the 38 right here. 38's going to have a run and be closer than he's been in a while down the back.
Chandler Smith all over
goes
the
to the bottom. He's going to shove it to him. Caution.
And around goes Brent Cruz. Caution is out for the 5th time with 4 laps to go.
Well, I almost said the 38's going to peek to the right side of the 11, but that was not the case. He decided to lay the bumper to him.
He's going to lay the bumper to him, but who was leading at the time of caution? We'll have to look back at the scoring loops and see what NASCAR determines. It's black and white. It's all done with computers. I know who Corey Heim thinks the leader is. Wow.
Yeah, you know, we saw the lap traffic always plays a role in this, you know, and you saw the 11 have to go to the bottom. He had to check up off of 4 to pass the lap car. We're seeing the 11 is the leader, so he must have been a foot ahead of the 38 at the timing line.
Wow.
They go back to that last scoring loop.
Well, now what was Chandler Smith? Chandler Smith has already showed us that he's willing to use the bumper. Now he's going to probably have to restart on the bottom.
Yeah, he's going to choose the front row, right? And you saw, and the thing that Chandler Smith has going for him, as we see, this is one other thing he has going for him, is his front
point
bumper.
of contact.
You know, he didn't waste any time. He's like, I have my one shot to get by you. I'm going to do it. And clears him, but
Chandler feels like that's it, and then the caution comes out.
And he was behind him at the point of the timing line.
Corey Heim's teammate Brent Cruz brings out that caution in the 1 truck right here.
What happened over here? We talked about Ben Rhodes moving up through the field, and he just gets into Brent. We see how difficult it is to enter on the bottom of turns 1 and 2, and that was a great example of it there again.
You see the 99 just get tight, getting down in there, overdriving. Gets in the left rear, Brent Cruz. Gosh, that stinks for Brent Cruz. He was having such a good day and trying to hold guys off on old tires, and just unfortunately got spun around.
Has an incredible day. We'll be back for the final restart, perhaps, or not after this. Welcome back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Jamie Little, Ryan Blaney, and Michael Waltrip, Caitlin Vinci, and Josh Sims on pit road. Guys, second time this year, we're going to have an overtime.
And I got a question. If you're Corey Heim, do you start on the outside, Ryan, and give that chance to the 38 to just clean you out like we've seen others do? Or do you take the bottom and be offensive and shove him up?
I don't know. I mean, that's tough. I feel like I got to choose the top, the preferred lane, and just And just leave it up to the guy on the bottom, you know, and try to get a good restart. If you can get a good enough restart and be far enough ahead with the jump, I think you're going to have a better shot. Yeah, so Corey Heim's going to pick the top. I think that's the best way, and you just hope you time your restart the best that you can, and you're ahead of the 38 before you get into turn 1.
Lane Riggs went topside. We got a 2-lap shootout.
It's going to be exciting. You know that.
I'm very happy right now.
And the 38 he has going for him too. We saw how low he was running in 1 and 2, running right along the line. So does he go that route, right? I have laps, I have reps running this way low lane in 1 and 2. Do I kind of use that to my advantage? But it all matters on the launch. You know, if you don't get a good launch, then gosh, now you have a bunch of ground to make up, maybe overdrive 1 and 2. So you really have to be able to hook your rear tires up here on the restart.
2 laps to see who's going to win this race. Unless the caution flies, then we'll just rack it up and do it again.
Look at all these fans.
And if I'm Corey Heim, I'm crowding the 38 as close to the bump as I can get and going right at that bump and where the 38 can't launch.
If I'm Lane Riggs, I'm feeling pretty good about life right now. He's on that second row. What will they do?
Here we go. Chandler Smith on the inside. Corey Heim out front. What a restart.
Great
but
restart.
Look at Lane Riggs up high.
Great restart by the 11. Lane Riggs really good through 1 and 2. He's going to clear for second.
Corey Heim's already been run into once.
Corey Heim tried to protect. He got into turn 3 way too deep. Loose.
Oh, sideways.
White flag is in the air.
Slide job.
Last lap of this
Slide
race.
job.
Lane Riggs into Corey Heim.
Corey
Heim goes around. It's battle of the teammates to the finish line. Who's it going to be? Chandler Smith with the advantage over Lane Riggs. Lane Riggs sideways. Checkered flag in the air.
Caution flag.
Chandler Smith. What a last lap.
Well, I feel real bad for Corey Heim. I feel terrible.
I've felt bad for him 3 or 4 times this year. He's just had the best truck, and it didn't work out.
A lot transpired in those 2 laps. We need to go back and relive. Another one, though. Corey Heim, most laps led ever in his career in 1 race, and he doesn't pick up the victory.
Yeah, you know, it's rough, man. Corey Heim did a great job all day. You think you did everything right and get contact at the end, end up spinning out and not even getting a good finish out of it, right? You end up finishing 17th, but that's the way things go. He's doing all the right things. It's just a matter of trying to have some things not happen to him.
Hell yeah, Jimmy. Let's go, boys.
Second win of the season for Chandler Smith. There's John Leonard, his crew chief. Ryan, when he came in and he took those new tires, you said, watch him. That's going to be the winner.
Wow, what a show.
I didn't know he was going to win in those circumstances, but he wound up in victory lane, and you know they took a chance at getting tires, and they were able to make it work.
I'll tell you, Lane Riggs gave him a run for it.
Yeah, there may be some fireworks on pit road. I don't know. I have to keep an eye on it.
Lane Riggs, with that unapproved adjustment pre-race, started the back of this field, led 1 lap, and it wasn't even the whole lap, guys.
Chandler Smith with a huge win.
There's Corey Heim. Got to be frustrated.
I just can't believe got away from him.
Chandler Smith, what a burnout.
You know, Corey Heim's walking to the front of pit road to find the 34, but the 34 is parked all the way at the back of pit road.
That's
Meanwhile,
probably a good place for the 34 right now, would you say?
Most likely.
Look at that mob that is following Corey Heim along.
we saw something similar in the All-Star race a year ago. You just feel it brewing. See if there will be words at any point, but right now Corey Heim all alone out on pit road. You see Josh Sims standing by. Meanwhile, what a win for Chandler Smith. He parks it on the finish line. First time racing here at North Wilkesboro.
Let's go, brother. Hell yeah. Good job, bud.
It's hugs all around. This team came together late in January, and now after 10 races in, they are two-time winners. Picks up that checkered flag. What a race.
What a fun day of racing. That's what I was going to say, Jamie.
There's Lane Riggs. So close again for Lane. I mean, I feel like we've seen this story multiple times. There it is. The helmet is off. Caitlin Vinci is with our winner.
Yeah, you talked about it. Chandler Smith made the choice to move back to the Truck Series, and now your second win on the year. How were you and your team able to execute and make this one happen at such a historic racetrack?
Oh, we fought and clawed today. Had to start in the back, and I feel like this place, I mean, tires kind of matter, but they also kind of didn't. So first come from the back to mid-pack twice says a lot of how good this Ford F-150 was today. So I didn't think we were as good as the 11. Obviously, we had a tire advantage on him there. And he was still able to start checking back out. Then we got to him, nudged him out of the way, caution came out. But props to those guys. They had a really fast truck today. But that last restart, I did everything but the right thing. My teammate Lane Riggs executed perfectly, and we came out on the right end of the stick. So happy we could bring one home for Front Row Motorsports, second win for Quick Tie Products, and second win for this new 38 team.
Congratulations, Chandler Smith, second win of the year, winner here at North Wilkesboro Speedway.
Chandler Smith saying, I didn't do anything right on the last lap, but he was in the right place at the right time, and we thought maybe he might be. And you can see things go wrong in turns 1 and 2 for Corey Heim.
Yeah, you know, you see the 34 try to pull a slider right there and just was never clear, you know, and you know, and Chandler Smith was able to capitalize under those guys while they were having some contact up the racetrack.
Well, walking along Pick Road with Corey Heim, spun from the lead in overtime. What are the emotions you're feeling right now? And I know you're looking for Lane Riggs. What's the conversation you want to have with him?
Just why. I mean, more than anything, he tried to do it to the 7 last week for the win, and he mission accomplished for him, I guess, this week, and it cost him 1-2. So I don't know, just brutal. I mean, we've given up so many of them this year after pretty much dominating most of this race. Obviously, the 38 was the only other guy that was rightfully good. So felt like, you know, he probably deserved to win, if anybody, not the 34, but got really loose into 3. We struggled being loose on those short runs, and he had an opportunity and he wrecked me. So just disappointed.
Nice score.
Such a professional young man. You know, he's obviously 4th time this season that he's failed to win after, you know, leading most of the laps, and dominant truck, and yet was able to be professional with that interview.
All right. Corey Heim has found Lane Riggs.
I don't know if Lane had much of a defense, and he just stood there and listened.
Yeah, I mean, quick conversation. Obviously, Corey just rightfully so, you know, hopefully told him why he was upset. And he looked back earlier in the race, right? Lane got into him on the bottom on the restart. So, you know, the 11 got used up there. Before the last caution, the 11 got moved out of the way into 3 and 4. And then he ended up getting spun out, you know, by the 34 at the end of the race. So, you know, great interview by Corey Heim. You know, just understand, I know he's frustrated, but he did a great job of not letting that bleed over and just going on to next week.
Such a professional. Let's hear from the other side, Josh.
Well, down here with Lane Riggs right now, having a conversation with the crew chief of the 11 team, Scott Zippadelli. Just briefly spoke with Corey Heim as well. Lane, what did both of them say to you, and how do you process how the race ended up?
Yeah, they're displeased. I mean, but I feel like, you know, he got really loose into 3 and 4 and kind of gave the bottom up, and we were side by side down the front stretch, and I had a huge run, and I went bottom, and, you know, I didn't fence him. I slid him up the track and, you know, gave him 1 lane there. We're at North Wilkesboro on the last lap for a truck win. I feel like I didn't really do anything wrong there. You know, I think that roles reversed. It was hard racing all day, and I feel like everybody came out of there alive, and we had a good finish, and I really only care about me and my team. Thanks, Lane.
Well, these two have to face each other the rest of the season, Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah, you see from Grant Edfinger's on board, and You know, I mean, it's just, yeah, guys going for wins, things like that. You know, and you heard Lane's side of it. Say he didn't fence him or nothing, left him a lane. The only bad thing is the lane was the dirt and the dust up there, and it caused the 11 to spin out. So you're never going to have guys agree on that. Just part of it.
We'll hear from more drivers after this. Another cool part of winning at North Wilkesboro, you get to put your truck over there and ride the elevator up to victory lane. Of course, when they get up there, all the fans get to see them. There's Chandler waiting his turn, and there's some fans and media waiting in victory lane. Big win for Chandler Smith. It was a big day today for Tyler Ankrum, his 7th top 5 finish, Caitlin.
Yeah, Jamie, we talked about it. What a great campaign it's been for Tyler Ankrum in 2025. How would you characterize your day here in North Wilkesboro?
Up and down. I mean, I absolutely squandered that last restart. I was so comfortable in second gear all day long that I didn't want to leave it because the 11 brought us to the box so slow. So just lugged and then just let the tires up because I realized I wasn't going fast enough. So probably could have run first or second or third. I don't know if we would have been able to absolutely slide job the 34 like that. For sure, should have run second or third there with that restart. Just absolutely squandered that. Yeah, but our team keeps on bringing me a fast truck every week. We just need to be that much better. I just feel like every single week we're just that half tenth off, and if we just keep on doing that, keep on running top 3, top 5, we'll go win some more. As long as we keep on doing our job with our Liuna Chevy truck, we'll be fine.
Well done. Tyler Ankrum and team keep continuing to impress throughout the course of the season. Jamie?
Yeah, well done by Tyler Ankrum, the 18 team. They bring it home third. And there it is, 38 truck made it up the elevator. They're pushing it into victory lane. We'll be back to wrap things up from North Wilkesboro. And the celebration continues as Chandler Smith has parked it in victory lane. The second win of the season for this new team. Well, it certainly has been a great day as we take a look at our unofficial results. A lot of action at the end. Look who finished in the top 10.
What about Daniel Hemrick? He's charged from the back. Ty Majeski, we talked about his struggles all day, up to the 6th position.
Caden Honeycutt, 8th. Kyle Busch, after 2 speeding penalties in a row, is able to come back to 9th.
Good run by Tanner Gray. He was down early and got back in the game, finished 11th.
Luke Baldwin, nice effort. Best effort he's had in the Truck Series now with 13th.
Yeah, 13th. Raja Karuth was actually collected in that last lap crash. Unfortunately, ends up 15th. And you see Corey Heim, dominant truck of the day, ends up 17th.
Tony Breidinger, steady and consistent right around the top 20 all day long.
Brent Cruz, 22nd, does not show how good he ran today in his debut.
Norm Benning. Another
Still
start,
doing it.
Another start, another fun time, I guarantee you. Obviously not the finish he was looking for.
Absolutely. Well, it's been fun. Ryan, great to have you up here in the Truck Series booth. I know you got to take off your suit, put your fire suit on. We got some heat races coming up.
I got to go put another suit on. So yeah, the heat races are coming up. I hope everyone enjoyed today. I know I had a lot of fun in the booth. Incredibly exciting race all day, and obviously the finish was exciting as well. So I hope everyone tunes in for 2 heat races tonight. It's going to be a great event. Get ready to try to go run for $1 million tomorrow.
I really appreciate your perspective. You added a lot to the broadcast. Appreciate you joining us.
I try to just be on y'all's level, so I'm appreciative. Thank you guys for having me. Thank you, Fox, for having me too.
Yes, remember All-Star Heats tonight, 5 o'clock. All-Star race tomorrow for all of us here at Fox Sports. Thanks so much for being here. Coming up next, Nationals at Orioles.
Eliminate competition like a dinner plate. I'm what makes a winner great. I invigorate. You buckle down and disintegrate. You feel me? Coming through with that weak sauce. You weak boss, don't wanna take a week off. I stand tall and confident, you ain't hot as me. You don't stand at all, you a mockery. I am on the rise. I was told only the strong survive. The difference between y'all and I. Without wings, I was born to fly. Get your game face on. Get your game face on. Get your game face on. 'Cause I'm coming to play, boy.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's